Welcome into the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Wyman Wheeler. Now, before we get started, I would like to start this episode off on a sentimental note. I would first like to say thank you to the Kansas City Royals. Thank you, Royals, for being just good enough to get us to football season before seemingly stumbling off a mountain and putting your playoff berth in jeopardy. So, sincerely, thank you, Royals. The summer was fun. But now we can watch you go quietly into that good night as football is right around the corner. 2 days away, in fact. Truthfully, I don't know if my gratitude is owed to the Royals or to the Chiefs from shifting focus from the Royals right now. That Vinny injury is just, it looks like it's going to ruin everything. But I'm not talking about the Royals today, so I digress. If you want to hear my thoughts on the Royals going forward this season, hopefully they're on the uptick. Can't get any worse. Hopefully. If you want to hear my thoughts, leave a comment. Let me know if you want to hear some Royals talk. We'll suffer through together, or we may celebrate together. Who knows? Anyway, so the date is Tuesday, September 3rd. We are 2 days away from the season opener where the Chiefs will take on the Ravens at Arrowhead Stadium. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to go through what I think are the top 5 keys to victory that the Chiefs will need to use to beat the Ravens this Thursday. So before I get into this, I should mention that these quote-unquote keys are a mix of realistic, what I call diligently thought-out reasons the Chiefs could win this game, and some superstitious fan stuff, really just one thing that I tend to take into account because I'm a little crazy, because I am a superstitious fan myself. Also, I won't really be discussing some of the more obvious X factors in this game, like Mahomes, Chris Jones, Lamar, Kelsey, players like that. Everyone knows what they're capable of and what to look for there. So I'm just looking at some things, some of the storylines that not everyone is talking about, but might end up being the reason the Chiefs win. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right in. So my first and second keys are one and the same, really. So it's all has to do with the Chiefs' running game on both sides of the ball. Last year, on offense and defense, the Chiefs were middle of the pack when it comes to run offense and defense. The offense ranked 19th, and the defense ranked 17th in the NFL overall. As far as the run defense is concerned, when these two teams last faced each other, the Ravens and the Chiefs, it was apparent that the Ravens did not run the ball enough, and that contributed to their losing effort in the AFC Championship game. It is hard to imagine that they would allow that to happen again. You would think, especially after Derrick Henry comes into town to help bolster the backfield. I do not expect the run defense to decline in quality as far as the Chiefs are concerned, even though we did lose Willie Gay, and not a lot of people have brought that up in the national media coverage. I do think it is something to note, but I do not expect it to be a major detractor to our defensive ability. We still have Bolton to lead the defense. Tranquil's still making plays, and Cochran is looking to take another step this year to fill the run defense. And he filled in nicely when Willie Gay was unavailable in the championship game last year. So I think we have enough on the table to say, okay, we don't need to worry about the Chiefs' run defense. Spagnuolo's record against Derrick Henry is spotty. He is getting up there in age, however, but looking back at some past games where Spags had to scheme up against him, he's allowed him to average 8.2 yards a carry in a game and 6.8 yards per carry in a game. That 8.2 effort was, if you remember, the November game in 2019 against the Titans, obviously, and the 6.8 yards per carry effort was in 2022, a game we won. In the forwardly mentioned game, what would you call it? You know, the latter and the forward. Anyway, it's early. In the 8.2 yards per carry, the November game against the Titans, Derrick Henry went for 188 running yards, and in 2022, he had 115 yards. But we notably held him to 69 yards in the 2020 AFC Championship game. Ultimately, if we can stop Henry, we could put more pressure on Lamar Jackson to get the ball in the air and make a mistake like he did throwing into triple coverage at the end of the game last year. On the offensive side of the run game, some things to note. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was just added to the non-football injury list as he is still struggling with those PTSD flare-ups. We hope he gets better. But that means RB2 will likely be Carson Steele, unless Samaje Perine has picked up the playbook very quickly. On the depth chart for the Chiefs, Perine is listed above Steele, so I'll be very interested to see how that plays out, and we'll know on Thursday when the game is over and what the snap counts look like. But those are the first two keys that I have written down. So moving on, I'm going to talk about my superstitious prognostication here. The third key to the Chiefs' victory this Thursday has to do with the conditions of this game. And I'm not talking about the weather, any rain or anything. If you recall, last year, the Chiefs opened the NFL season against the Detroit Lions. Dropped a banner, got off to a great start, then all of a sudden, Kadarius Toney drops a pass, causes a touchdown in the other direction, and those problems we ran into that game with the drops lingered throughout the season. So, starting off, one, I don't think the Chiefs are going to let that happen again, and two, going back even further with our season opener track record, going back to the 2020 NFL season opener against the Houston Texans. The Chiefs blew out the Texans in that game, and while certainly there were a lot of factors leading up to that playing out, namely Bill O'Brien's just hack job of that team that offseason with the DeAndre Hopkins trade, had more to do with that than just superstition. But the way I see it, it's been written in the stars that the Chiefs will likely play well in the season opener against a playoff opponent that they beat in the previous season. Just something that I take into account. If anyone else thinks this way and has the same mental illness I do, let me know down in the comments. I want to see where your brain's at. Maybe figure some things out about myself. Back to my more succinct thoughts. The fourth key to the Chiefs' success this Thursday is the additions to the wide receiver room. I think it's safe to say that one of the biggest offseason stories not relating to speed racing or graduation speeches this offseason was the tune-up that the wide receiver room got. We trimmed off a lot of the fat around the room and added speed all across the board. We do know that Hollywood Brown is out this week. He may be back week 2. We'll see. But because of that, we could see Xavier Worthy, the speed demon from this year's draft, thrust into a larger role due to Hollywood's absence. Not to mention Rashee Rice, who is looking like is not going to be suspended. He'll be able to cut through the middle of the field with Kelsey, and who knows, we may be able to see Juju haul in 2 or 3 targets as well. You never know. But the point is, this Chiefs offense is much more explosive than last year's offense, and I expect them to put up much larger numbers than the last time these two teams faced off. And finally, to wrap things up, the last key to this game is what I view as the Chiefs' biggest question mark going into this year, and that's the defensive backfield. Now, again, I haven't heard a lot of the national media sources or the shows that I listen to talk about this, but last year, the Chiefs put together the 4th best pass defense in the entire league, but what I haven't heard a lot of Chiefs fans discussing is that the defensive backfield is going to look a lot differently now that L'Jarius Sneed is no longer with the Chiefs. I understand that we've shown that we can plug in new guys into the fold whenever the time comes, but Sneed played out of his mind last year. I'm safe to say he was the best player in the league at his position, and without him, I'm curious to see what this defense will look like. The defensive backs in this game will be tasked with stopping a lot of really good players, a lot of speed. We'll have Zay Flowers in his sophomore season who will be looking to right his wrongs from the championship game. Of course, the taunting penalty and the fumble that Sneed punched out right before it crossed the end zone. We'll also have to take care of Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar. Those are their top 3 targets from the Ravens. So this will be a good test for a pass defense who lost their leader and best overall player last year. So I'm very interested to see how that's going to shake out on Thursday. But if they can put together a good showing on Thursday, the Chiefs could very much find themselves going into week 2 1-0. So In summation, if the Chiefs can control the run on both sides of the ball, live up to our potential in the wide receiver room, and show consistency in the passing defense from last year to this year, we should be well on our way to a Chiefs W. But what do you think? What do you think the score's going to be? Do you think the Chiefs will win? What are the X factors, the keys to victory in this game? I want to know your thoughts. So leave them down in the comments below. If you want to keep up with me, you can follow me on Twitter at WymanWheel. That's Wheeler without the ER at the end. And follow KC Sports Report for more content and video updates. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to KC Sports Report here on YouTube for more Chiefs content. Until next time, thank you for watching, and go Chiefs.